My name is Nancy. I live alone in a small house in Willow Creek. It's a quiet town with open skies and slow days. After my divorce, I wanted peace. I told myself I was done with love. I told myself I was too tired to feel anything again, but I was wrong. It happened in June. I was in my front yard cutting dry flowers. That's when I saw him. A boy. No, a young man. He was helping his mother move into the house next door. He looked strong. His arms were brown from the sun. He was tall and lean. He smiled when he saw me. "Hi," he said. "I'm Frank." I said, "I'm Nancy. Nice to meet you." His voice was deep for his age. His eyes were bright. I watched him for a second too long. He waved and walked away. I turned back to my flowers, but my hands felt warm. My chest was too light. It was nothing, I told myself, but I kept thinking about his smile. The next morning, I saw him again. He was walking a small dog. I said, "Cute dog." He said, "Her name is Penny." I smiled. "Nice name." He smiled back. That smile. It stayed with me all day. It made my heart beat in a way I hadn't felt in years. Every day after that, we spoke a little more. He helped me with my trash bins. He asked me about the flowers I grew. I told him the names. He listened closely. I liked how he listened. Not like boys, like a man. One day, he brought Penny to my gate and asked, "Can I come in?" "Penny wants to see your flowers." I said, "You can come in, but only for the flowers." He laughed and stepped inside. I watched him walk past me. His shirt stuck to his back from the heat. I looked away, too fast, too guilty. That night, I stood in front of the mirror. I touched my face, my skin, my eyes. I thought, do I look old to him? I knew the answer, but I still wished I looked younger. I still wished he saw me the way I was beginning to see him. Are you still with me? If this story touches something inside you, leave a comment or subscribe. I want to share this journey with you. Frank started coming by more often. He helped me clean the yard, fix the gate, carry heavy bags. "You're strong," I joked once. He looked at me. "So are you," he said. His words sat in my chest all night. I heard them in my dreams. One afternoon, he came over after his run. His shirt was wet. He asked for water. I brought him a cold glass. Our fingers touched for 1 second. 1 small second. But it felt long. It felt dangerous. I told myself he was just being kind. But then he looked at me and said, "I like talking to you. I feel good around you." I smiled. But inside, I felt a storm. What did he mean? Did he know what I was thinking? Did he feel it too? One evening, he sat with me on my porch. The sky was orange. The air was soft. He said, "I never met someone like you." I laughed. "I'm just your neighbor." He shook his head. "You're more than that." My heart raced. My breath was tight. I looked at his hands, his arms, his mouth when he spoke. My mind whispered things I couldn't say out loud, things I hadn't felt in a long, long time. He leaned a little closer. "You have soft eyes," he said. I turned away. "Frank," I said. I didn't know what else to say. I wanted to tell him to stop, but I didn't mean it. I didn't want him to stop. That night I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed looking at the dark ceiling. I thought about his voice, his eyes, the way he looked at me like I was still young, like I was still wanted. I knew this was wrong, but my heart didn't care, my body didn't care. When I closed my eyes, I saw his face. I heard him call my name. I felt something in my chest I hadn't felt in years. Something warm. Something dangerous. I told myself I would end this. I would stop the talks, stop the walks, stop the soft looks. But the next morning, I stood by my window, waiting for him again. And when I saw him smiling across the fence, I smiled back. Frank waved at me from his gate, and I waved back. My hand shook a little, but I smiled like everything was normal. Like my thoughts the night before did not exist. Like I had not spent the whole night thinking about his arms, his lips, the shape of his back when he turned away. I told myself again that I was being silly, that I was a grown woman and he was just a boy. But the truth didn't feel that simple anymore. The truth was, I liked the way he looked at me. I liked the sound of his voice when it softened just for me. And I liked the way my heart woke up when he came near. That morning, he asked if I wanted to go for a walk. "I know a small lake behind the hills," he said. I should have said no. I should have told him I was busy. But I didn't. I said yes. We walked side by side down the dirt path behind Willow Creek. No one was around, just grass, birds, trees, and the sound of our steps. He asked me about my life before this town, and I told him a little about my job in the city, my short marriage, how I left when I couldn't smile anymore. He listened the way no one else ever had. I don't know why I said so much. Maybe it was the quiet. Maybe it was the way his eyes didn't move away. Maybe it was the way he made me feel like nothing I said would scare him off. When we reached the lake, the sun was higher. The light hit the water just right. Frank said, "This is my favorite place." I looked around. It was beautiful, yes, but I didn't care about the lake. I cared about the way he stood so close to me, about the way his arm brushed mine, about the way his voice dropped when he said my name. "Nancy," he said softly, like he was testing the sound. I turned to look at him, and he was already looking at me. I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. I didn't know what to say. I only knew what I felt. I felt warm. I felt nervous. I felt alive. He stepped closer, very slowly, like he was giving me time to stop him. I didn't. I should have. Maybe. But I didn't. My hands stayed at my sides. My breath stayed in my chest. He reached up and touched my cheek with his fingers. So light, like he thought I might break. I closed my eyes. Just for a moment. Just to feel it without thinking. "Do you want me to stop?" he asked. His voice was low and careful. "No," I whispered, before I could change my mind. His lips touched mine so gently, I almost thought I imagined it. But I didn't. His kiss was real. Software. Slow. Full of care, not hunger. Full of something that scared me more than anything. Full of feeling. When he pulled back, he didn't say anything. He just looked at me. I looked down at the grass, at the lake, at anything but him, because I was scared. Not of him, of myself. Of how easy it was to fall into this. We walked back in silence. He held my hand like it was the most normal thing in the world. I didn't let go. When we reached my gate, he smiled and said, "Thank you." I didn't know what he was thanking me for. For the walk? The kiss? For not stopping him? I didn't ask. I just nodded and went inside. I leaned against the door, closed my eyes, and took a deep breath. What had I done? What were we doing? That night, I stood in the shower for a long time. The warm water ran down my back, but it couldn't wash away the thoughts. I tried to remind myself of the truth. He was 18. I was much older. People would talk. People would judge. But then I remembered how he looked at me, like I was still beautiful, like I was still worth something. And I thought, maybe that matters more. Maybe it's not about numbers. Maybe it's about feeling seen, feeling wanted, feeling alive. The next day, he didn't come over. I told myself it was fine. He needed time. Maybe I needed time too, but when 2 days passed and I still didn't see him, I started to worry. Did he regret it? Did he feel ashamed? Was he avoiding me? On the 3rd day, I saw his mother at the store. She smiled and said, "Frank's been in bed with a fever." I nodded, said, "Hope he gets well soon," and walked away. I felt relief. He wasn't hiding. He was just sick. But even that made my heart ache. I wanted to see him. I wanted to take care of him. I wanted to brush his hair back and place my hand on his forehead. And I hated that I couldn't. That evening, I made soup. I put it in a container and walked to their door. His mother opened it and said, "Oh, Nancy, that's so sweet." She took the soup and said, "He's asleep now." I nodded and smiled, but before she shut the door, I heard him. "Is that Nancy?" he called from inside. She turned to him. "Yes, she brought you some soup." "Can I see her?" he said. His voice was weak. I stepped inside. He was on the couch with a blanket around him, his face pale but smiling. When he saw me, his eyes lit up. And just like that, my heart did too. He reached out his hand. I took it. "I missed you," he said. "I thought maybe you changed your mind." I shook my head. "I didn't," I said quietly. "I just didn't know what to do." He nodded. "Me neither. But I know how I feel." I looked into his eyes, and all the fear in me softened. Maybe it wasn't wrong. Maybe it was just new, strange, unexpected. But maybe, just maybe, it was real. Frank's hand was warm in mine, even though his body was tired and slow. I sat beside him on the couch, and for a few moments we didn't speak. I just watched his face. His cheeks were pale, but his eyes still held that light, that quiet smile that made me feel like I was someone special, someone seen. I told him to eat the soup before it got cold, and he nodded, holding my hand a little longer before letting go. As I stood to leave, he whispered, "Will you come back tomorrow?" My heart answered before my mouth did. "Yes," I said softly. "I will." The next few days passed in a strange rhythm. I came to check on him each morning, sat with him in the evening. His mother seemed to like me. She called me sweet, said I had a kind heart. She didn't know what was happening behind our quiet smiles and careful words. Frank never tried to kiss me again while he was sick, but his eyes told me everything. Sometimes he would just look at me for a long time, like I was something soft he didn't want to lose. And sometimes, when his mother left the room, he would gently touch my hand and hold it there until we heard footsteps. When he got better, we went for another walk, this time in the cool evening air. The leaves were starting to fall. The sky was wide and pink, and the road was empty. We walked slowly. No rush, no plan. I told him about the first time I fell in love, how I was only a little older than he was now. He listened quietly, then asked if that man ever made me feel like he did. I stopped walking. I looked at him. My heart beat faster. "No," I said. "He didn't." Frank didn't smile. He just nodded like he already knew. I think he did. That night, he came over after dinner. He said he needed help with something. I asked what. He said, "Just come." I followed him outside. We walked to the back of my house, where the sky looked like velvet and the wind moved gently through the trees. He stopped near the old bench and turned to face me. "Nancy," he said, his voice quiet, "can I kiss you again?" I looked at him. My heart said yes. My mind wanted to ask all the questions again, but my voice said nothing. I just stepped closer. The kiss was longer this time, deeper. My hands touched his arms. His fingers moved slowly down my back. I forgot the town. I forgot the fear. I forgot how wrong it all could be. I only felt his lips, his breath, the sound of the leaves moving above us. And when we pulled apart, I felt something strong inside me. Something I hadn't felt in years. Not just desire, not just longing, but connection, trust, a strange kind of hope. He started coming over almost every day after that. Sometimes we sat and talked. Sometimes we watched old movies. Sometimes we didn't talk at all. We just sat close, touching knees, sharing space. One night, it rained hard. We stayed in my kitchen, sharing a blanket over our shoulders. He held my hand the whole time. At one point, I leaned my head on his shoulder. He didn't move. He just breathed slowly, like the world made sense in that moment. I began to worry about the neighbors. Willow Creek was small. People watched. People talked. One morning, I told him maybe we should slow down. Someone might see, I said. He didn't answer at first. Then he looked at me and said, "I don't care if they see. I care if you leave." That simple sentence sat heavy in my chest. I didn't have a reply. I just looked down at my hands. My fingers shook a little. I didn't know if I was scared or just overwhelmed. A few days later, it happened. I was walking out of the store when I saw Mrs. Carter from down the street. She looked at me, smiled, then leaned in. "You and that new boy next door seem close," she said. "He's a sweet one." My stomach turned. I smiled weakly and nodded, but inside I felt cold. She didn't say it with hate, but the message was clear. People noticed. They were watching. That night I didn't sleep much. I stared at the ceiling again, like I used to. But this time, it wasn't about loneliness. It was about risk. I asked myself what I was doing, what we were doing, if it was too late to stop. The next time Frank came over, I didn't smile right away. I told him what Mrs. Carter said. He didn't seem surprised. "We knew it would happen," he said. I nodded. "Yes, but now it's real." He took my hand. "Do you want to stop?" I didn't answer. I couldn't, because the truth was, I didn't want to stop. Not yet. Maybe not ever. He looked into my eyes. "I care about you, Nancy. This isn't just something for fun. I feel something strong for you. Do you feel it too?" I held his hand tighter. "Yes," I said. "I do." He leaned forward, pressed his forehead to mine. We sat like that for a long time. No kiss, no words, just breathe, just closeness. That night, when he left, I stood by the door long after he was gone. I felt the quiet in the room, but it didn't hurt like it used to. It felt full, it felt soft, but I knew something was coming, something bigger than us, and I didn't know if we were ready for it. The next few days passed slowly. Something had changed, not between Frank and me, but around us. I felt it in the way neighbors looked at me a little longer. I felt it in the quiet when I walked into the bakery. No one said anything out loud, but I could feel the whispers behind closed doors. And even though Frank kept smiling, I could tell he felt it too. The outside world was pushing in. I asked him if anyone at his school had said anything. He shook his head and said no, but his eyes didn't match his voice. There was something different in him now, a kind of weight he didn't carry before. "It's fine," he told me. "I don't care what they say." But I knew that wasn't true. He cared. We both did. We just didn't know what to do about it. One afternoon, his mother came to my door. She held a small bag of apples from their tree. She smiled, but her smile was thin. "You've been kind to Frank," she said. "Thank you." Her words were soft, but her eyes were full of meaning. I felt my chest tighten. I took the apples and said thank you. I wanted to explain something, but I didn't know what. What could I say? That I was falling for her son? That he kissed me first? That I didn't plan any of this? I said nothing. She turned and walked away. That night, Frank didn't come. I waited. I looked out the window. I checked the porch light twice. But he didn't come. The next morning, I saw him in the yard. He waved. I waved back, but my hand felt heavy. He didn't come over that day either, or the next. I began to feel like I had lost him without a word. On the third night, I found a small stone on my porch. It was flat and round, the same kind we saw by the lake. It wasn't a gift or a letter, but I knew it was from him. He was still there, still thinking of me. I closed my hand around it and sat down. I didn't cry, but I felt something close to it. Not full sadness, not yet. Just silence. A week passed, then 2. Frank didn't come by, but I saw him sometimes. We waved, we smiled, but we kept space between us. It hurt. Not in the way sharp things hurt, but in the way slow loss does, like air leaving the room little by little. I thought about calling him, but I didn't want to pull him into something hard. He was young. He had so much ahead. And me? I had already lived through love and loss. Maybe it was my turn to protect him now. Then one evening, just as the sun was going down, I heard a knock. I opened the door, and there he was, Frank, standing with his hands in his pockets, his eyes soft and unsure. "Hi," he said. I smiled. "Hi," I said back. "Can I come in?" he asked. I stepped aside. He walked in and stood near the window. He looked at the flowers on my table, the small light in the kitchen, the quiet room. "I missed you," he said. I wanted to run to him, hold him, tell him how much it meant just to see him again, but I stayed still. "Why did you stop coming?" I asked. He looked down. "My mom," he said. "She guessed something. I didn't want to fight with her." I nodded. "I understand," I said. "Did she say anything?" He shook his head. She looked worried. I didn't want to hurt her." I walked closer to him. "You didn't hurt me," I said. "You just disappeared." He looked at me then. "I was scared," he said. "Not of you, just of what might happen to you. Because of me." I felt tears come into my eyes. "Frank," I said, "you are not the problem. This town, these rules, these eyes that never look away. That's the problem." He reached for my hand. I let him hold it. "I still care about you," he said. "I think I always will." I smiled through the ache in my chest. "I care about you too," I said. "But I don't want your life to stop because of me. You have so much ahead." He shook his head. "I don't want to forget you." "You won't," I said, "and I won't forget you." We sat down and talked for a long time. No kisses, no promises, just truth. Just 2 people who found each other in a strange moment of life. And even though we didn't say goodbye, we both knew what that night meant. We knew that things couldn't stay the same. But we also knew that we had felt something real, something strong, something rare. Now, weeks later, I still think of him. I walk by the lake sometimes and pick up a stone. I hold it in my hand and smile. I remember his voice, his touch, his heart. And though we may not be together, I don't feel sad. I feel lucky. Because even for a short time, I was seen, I was wanted, I was loved. I hope you have enjoyed the story. Like and comment if you want to hear more soon.